It's time to start putting siding on the shed, and I have to accommodate for my cross bracing, so I have something to put the siding onto. So with this cross bracing, I have a nice surface here to attach the siding to, but it's not going to work out so well when it comes to the bottom over here and the top over here. So this is a great place to use little odds and ends and scraps to put in there as like nailers is what you would call them if this were sheetrock, and fill in some gaps. Doesn't have to be perfect, doesn't have to be pretty, but you do need something flush on both sides so that you can nail your siding up. Now, I say nail, I'm actually using screws, but whatever hardware you're choosing, you need a flush surface. So once again, I am reusing materials here. This is siding that came off the horse barns that were dismantled for this purpose. And what I'm doing is actually cutting off the part that was the bottom because it's all rotted out. And so by flipping these around, these sheets around, I can maximize the life of what I've got going on here. These are the reclaimed pieces I'm working with. And you can see that that's kind of a pattern where we have water damage and rot and stuff down there. I am not worried about it at all. Honestly, the siding is to keep, water out, of course, but also to give something for the firewood to be stacked against so it doesn't just kind of ooge all over the ground. When you're putting your siding up, you want to make sure that this kind of indented piece right here is on the edge that is going to be covered by your next sheet. It is meant to lap that way. I've put my first piece of siding on, and this is the piece that's going to be underneath the next piece that goes over this direction. So I have to make sure that when I measure and cut that next piece, I'm cutting the appropriate side, the appropriate length, because our ground here is not level. And so it's going to be shorter over here than it is over here. I made my measurements, and on this side, it's going to be 60 inches to clear this bracket down to above the ground. You don't want to rest it on the ground because that leads to rot. So you want a couple inches clearance so that siding is not sitting on the ground. And then over here, 4 feet away, because these are 4 feet long, it's going to be about 63 inches. Now this last one is a little bit different because this is 40 1/4 inches to the inside of this 2x4. And I have to go to the inside of the 2x4 because the 2x4 is acting as a brace for this beam. So my siding is not going to cover this. It's going to go right to it. So it happens to be 40 1/4 inches from here to the inside of that 2x4. And I want to make sure that I measure to here because of that overlap that happens on my next piece. I'm going to put siding along this wall too on the outside, but from the inside, I want to put something there for now so that my wood doesn't just spill out there, because this is the low side of the woodshed. So I have this pallet, which has seen better days. It's all warped and kind of funky. Setting it upright like this offers a really nice, stable place for that wood to kind of push against without falling out. And sometimes you run out of time, so you have to take your odds and ends and make it work for stopping the firewood from falling out, and then come back next year and finish the sides. Really, the most important part for a woodshed, though, is the back, and we got that done, so I'm a happy camper for this year.